Well, Secretary Jim Mattis is the guy who ultimately authored it. And let me explain what I think his thinking was. I understand, by the way, I agree with a lot of the criticisms we're hearing here about where the state of play is between the nuclear superpowers today. It feels like it's a throwback. It's very regrettable that this is where we are. But there's a sense, and with apologies to Russian friends, there's a sense that Russia has been really throwing its weight around in the nuclear domain, violating the INF Treaty. I know we could debate whether that's true or not, but I'm telling you the perception from the Pentagon, violating the INF Treaty, having some new concepts like escalate to de-escalate, whereby Russia would use a few nuclear weapons early in a war and try to prevent us from, let's say, reinforcing Estonia or Latvia.
You know, Michael, that is Pentagon game scenarios. Those are scenarios coming out of the Pentagon. I can tell you Russia's policy on use of nuclear weapons is very, very clear. We had Russia's foreign minister come out, and I will quote him, entirely defensive scenarios, and I'll give you, and there are three of them, in response to an act of aggression against Russia and or against our allies if nuclear or other types of mass destruction weapons are used, and also, third, with the use of conventional arms, but only in case our state's very existence would be in danger. So I don't care what the Pentagon says in its report. That is Russia's policy, okay? Sorry to interrupt.
This is
Go
ridiculous.
ahead.
You know, it is ridiculous because most recently, International Institute of Strategic Studies, a think tank based in London, published the assessment of this review saying that they don't think that Russia is that stupid to use the nuclear weapons. So I don't know what on earth and who on earth in Pentagon is having this assumption or is trying to portray or implement and, you know, persuade the public opinion that the Russians or the people who are running Russia are, are the barbarians, are the madman who is trying to subdue the whole world, where in fact it's the other way around.
Okay, Michael, I interrupted you. You continue, please.
Well, we do see Russian military exercises that envision early use of nuclear weapons. We do see this concept of escalate to de-escalate in Russian writings.
Only in retaliation and escalation. Let's be clear about that. That is their military doctrine.
I don't think... Okay, listen, I like the doctrine. I'm not convinced, however, that it would always guide Russian behavior. I want to get back to the world you're describing, where the United States and Russia are both very clear that they don't view each other as adversaries and they don't envision needing these weapons against each other.
That report,
that's the world we should be in.
Reading that report is very adversarial. I mean, almost every few paragraphs is very adversarial. I mean, I'm sorry, Michael, but it was directed against the United States and China, okay? 10 seconds before we go to the break. Go ahead, Michael.
It was directed against Russia and China, you're right. And I agree that it's an unfortunate state, but I think it was brought upon largely by perceived Russian aggressiveness in this domain. Whether you agree with that perception or not, that's where Mattis is coming
we're going to go to a break here, but I'd like to point out to our viewers that it wasn't Russia that overthrew the legitimately elected government in Kiev in February 2014. After a short break, we'll continue our discussion.